Hello, good evening, everyone. Is your marriage feeling as if you could up the temperature a little bit? Well, today that's what we're going to talk about. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to another Family Talk Live with the Dukies. Each Monday, we come here and we share common concerns and issues that couples face, families face, parents face. And today, we're talking marriage. For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us know where you're joining from. And just to introduce ourselves,
So I'm Courtney Dookie, registered psychologist in Alberta, and both of us we run our private practice, Dookie's Psychological Services, and then we also run our ministry program, coaching program, Dookie's Institute.
all right. So today we're getting right into it, guys. We want to
So
hear
who are
from.
you?
Oh, I thought you said this is. Guys, I am Dr. Sanya Duki. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
It sounds good? Okay. I was kind of going off of your lead, but you didn't say Dr. Courtney Duki, so I said,
Guys, I'm picking on her because she just finished her doctorate. So I've been using, people have been calling me doctor for a couple of years now. She just finished like a few weeks ago. So I'm just getting her into the groove of taking ownership of that work. Thank you guys for joining us.
All right. All right. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Courtney. So today we're talking about lukewarm marriage. Okay. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think a lukewarm marriage is? That terminology came from the Bible.
Yes.
And if you're to describe the biblical description of lukewarm, what does that look like?
Yeah, in probably almost in a short synopsis, it's when you think you know it all and you think you have it all under control, but you're missing the mark altogether.
Whew.
So you just think, hey, I'm good, I'm perfect, I have this under control, everything is going good, I have nothing to worry about, everything is going really, really well. But really, it's not going that well. It's actually, it's like, it's like we're blind. We can't see what's going on, and that's sort of a definition of that of lukewarm. Some people say, think of it literally. Lukewarm is like, imagine it's a you come home or you're outside and you want a glass of water, and you take up this glass of water to drink it, and it's not hot, it's not cold. It's like, ooh, it tastes really bad, and you want to kind of spew it out of your mouth.
Just like my tea gets sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of like what lukewarm is.
Yes.
So if you think of a marriage that is lukewarm,
Yeah, what would that
the marriage
look
is
like?
not hot,
Yes.
and the marriage is not cold. It's just there,
Yeah.
but it's just existing, and you think, you believe that even though you're in this kind of a existing marriage, you're there, you live in the same house, you do things together, meaning that you're working and all of these things.
Yeah.
And you feel like, you know what, we're not hot, we're not cold, we're just there. But really and truly, you think all is good, but all is not good.
Yeah.
In your relationship. You can feel that inside yourself. You can feel, sometimes people would say to me, they feel a longing, they feel an emptiness. But they think, you ask them, how is the marriage? Like, oh, it's good, it's going good. We're good communicators, we're good at this, we're good at that. But really, as you dig deep into it, you recognize that
there's something's
there's
lacking. So
something's
it's
lacking.
it's not one where you're like, I'm done and gone,
No.
or wow, like we're under heat, we're amazing. It's one more of a, we care about each other and we are committed to spending the rest of our life with each other. But deep down, we're not feeling our
A
relationship.
relationship. Lot of Christians put it like this. They're like, you
Yeah.
know what? I I'm okay staying in this relationship. I'm committed to God, and nothing is wrong with that. That's powerful. That's really good. We're committed to God. We're committed to God, and we are okay just like allow things
Yeah.
to flow.
Yeah.
There's no deep passion. Neither is there any. There's no deep passion, either that is negative or are
Yeah.
positive.
Right.
Now, there's no fighting.
Yeah.
So because we're not fighting, we're like, I think we're
Yeah.
good. We're not fighting. We're not doing all these things. We're not like the Joneses who fight all the time. We don't shout at each other.
Mhm.
We don't keep malice with each other. We don't do those things.
Yeah.
But neither are you loving and connecting and
Sparky.
good word. You're just there. You're just existing.
Yeah.
And that's a lukewarm marriage.
Yeah, and we know in scripture God says, I don't want that with you." And we know that marriages are it's used as a model.
Yes.
With our relationship with God, marriage is something like that. It depicts of what our relationship should be like with God. And God said, I don't want a lukewarm relationship with you. It's you're either hot or you're either cold. And He didn't design marriages as well to be lukewarm. Of course, marriage is not going to be um, on the bed of roses all the time. You are going to have hardship. We're going to have struggles, conflicts at some point in time. But at the same time, how do we come out from those situations? Do we come out stronger, hotter, more intentional, or is it just blah?
Yeah.
So today we're going to share with you some pitfalls that generally cause lukewarm relationships. So if you can think of any that I have not mentioned or we haven't mentioned, definitely type them in the comments. But we're going to share with you some things that can be perfect recipe or ingredients for a lukewarm marriage. So the first one we have here is we enter into the marriage, and of course when we enter we had expectation, dreams, aspirations of what it will be. So we picture this wonderful, awesome marriage, your life living together. But once we get in, we allow things and distractions to get in the way and cause us to lose focus of what we aspire for our relationship to be. And because of that, we have become relationally lethargic.
Yeah. And that's powerful because when you think of distraction,
Yeah.
there are so many distractions.
Yeah. It could be anything.
It could be anything. A lot of us were distracted with work. We're distracted with even parenting. We're distracted with hobbies. We're distracted. There's so many things going on, and we forget to pay attention to the relationship. And because we forget to pay attention to the relationship sort of fades into this lethargic condition where we're not really we're just existing there.
Yeah.
And really, we need to get rid of some of these distractions in our relationship. In our lives, actually.
Yeah.
So we can focus on our relationship. But yeah, so distractions, and you gotta find out. And probably for those who are listening, you can type in the comments there. What are some distractions you think that exist in relationships today that potentially cause relationship to lose its fire, to lose its zest, so its spark? So if you have some suggestion, you can put them there. But one of the things we have seen that cause relationship to lose fire, to lose spark, is distractions. We start to put the emphasis where it shouldn't be.
Yeah. And sometimes these things are good things. It's just too much. It's just taking over our a relationship. The other one we have here is that somehow we enter into the relationship and we think that whatever we enter the relationship with is sufficient to carry us for the rest of the years.
Wow.
Right? So I love you, and that's why I get married to you. Now we're married, blah, right? Nothing else. No date nights, no doing those spontaneous acts, no love letters, love notes, those sweet words anymore, or sweet adjectives, things like that. And we don't do that anymore because what? I've got what I was
Well,
working
yeah.
for.
And one of the things I've heard oftentimes is, man, I had such great expectations because I was getting all these things,
Yes.
and I expected that it would continue. Expected that, man, it's gonna only get better
Yeah.
when we get married. And we just get people get married, and then they stop. They stop connecting. They stop dating. And
Yes.
that's a key word, right? So we have distraction on one hand, where things you get married, and the busyness and the pace of life
Yeah.
gets in the way. And as you're talking about the second one, in which we're now married, and we start to take each other for granted. We stop blowing the flame of love.
Yeah.
The moment you stop doing that, the flame starts to
Yes.
dwindles, and then the relationship becomes lukewarm.
Yeah.
Because you're not putting a spark. If you don't give fire oxygen, it doesn't burn. So we suck the oxygen out of the relationship when we stop doing the things that that sparks us in the first place.
Yes.
Because in that first place, there were some sparks. There was some and they started burning into a fire that moves into a relationship that eventually moves into getting married. And then we get married, and then we kind of suck the oxygen
Yes.
out of the relationship, and then it goes into this lukewarm state.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate here that sometimes when we get married to the person, we just feel like we shouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah.
Like we feel like, okay, we've done everything we can. I've heard it said, what? I got married to you, so what else?
What else?
Like I love you. I got married to you. Isn't that proof enough that I love you? And no, it's not. It's not proof enough. We need to continue to nurture that fondness and admiration that you started out with. It's very important. The next one we have is we fail to make sufficient amount of deposits in our spouse's emotional bank accounts.
Yeah. And this also goes back to the first one. And even though the first one we're looking at the continuing the dating arena, continue to date each other. This one, and also we see where even the first one we talked about, which is where we get into this place where when you think of the relationship, when you think of not depositing into the person's life, you basically stop doing the things that you were doing in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it is so important. A lot of relationship dry up, become, I don't even want to say dead, it becomes lackadaisical, just become almost a shell, bland, simply because we're not depositing into each other's emotional account. And I think we've talked about this on other shows that we've done, in which we talk about the love language and how to speak the love language of your partner.
Yeah.
If we're not speaking the love language of our partners, then what tend to happen if husbands are not speaking the love language of their wives, and the wives are not speaking the love language of their husbands, if that's not there, then you start to have this thing where we're not depositing in that.
Yes. So it's very important to know what the love language is, because your love language could be words of affirmation, and you're doing all that, you're saying all those words to your spouse, but their love language is acts of service or spending quality time with. And if those are not given, then pretty much those words of affirmation, which for you is very real, for them it doesn't connect the way it needs to. So find out what your spouse's love language is.
And also when you think of depositing, in life is sometimes, as we live together, we tend to withdraw. And if we are withdrawing more than we're depositing, especially if we're withdrawing in terms of the challenges in the relationship, and we keep pulling from our partner, we keep pulling from them, we keep pulling from husbands, our wives, and we keep from our spouses, then eventually they get empty.
Yes.
And that's when the person gets empty, and now they feel like there's nothing in this for me. But they're not going to go for divorce, or they don't want a separation, because, like, you know what, this is good in some ways, but in other ways there's nothing in it for me. It's like it's dry, it's dryness there, and nobody seems to be wanting to do anything about it. It's really vital really vital that we make deposit, emotional deposit in each other's bank account.
Mm-hmm.
That's that the reservoir that you know what, it's like where the wellspring of joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the bubbliness comes from. Is yeah, we can go through all the conflicts, the challenges, but when we are not depositing some positivity,
Mm-hmm.
some connection, we're not depositing some turning towards each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when we always turn away or turn against, and we're not turning towards each other,
Yes.
we sort of we're doing more withdrawal than we're doing depositing
Yes.
into relationship.
Yeah.
It becomes lukewarm after a time.
Yeah.
And when relationship like these in which there, because if you're not depositing emotionally in the person's bank account,
Mm-hmm.
what it basically suggests is that you're no longer friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're no longer friends,
Mm-hmm.
then it put the relationship in a place where we're either going to continue to live in misery, but sometimes we think we're doing these deposits. That's a problem. And that's how we use the word lukewarm,
Yeah.
because we think
Mm-hmm.
the husband
Yeah.
might think he's depositing
Yes.
into his wife's account. The wife might think that she is depositing
Mm-hmm.
into the husband's account. But and both of them think that, you know, we're doing it. But what's going on? But if we're not connected, we're not
Yeah.
talking about it, because what you deposit and what your spouse deposit may not be the deposit that you want.
Yeah, because it's more than just taking money into the house and paying bills. It's
There
more
you go.
than having a hot meal on the table
Yes.
and a clean house. It's more than that.
It's a lot more than that.
Yes.
Again, going back to when it starts, when the relationship just began,
Yeah.
there was no working and bringing in money.
No.
There was no cooking and cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
There's none of that. But that's when the relationship potential for most relationships, that's when the emotional connection was deepest.
Yeah.
At that time, again, people will say, well, life comes in the picture. No, even though life comes in the picture, we have to keep making those deposits.
Yeah. And hopefully one day we can talk about, when the family starts to grow, how we
Yes.
can maintain that hot temperature.
At temperature.
of the
There's a book called
relationship.
Baby Makes Three. I always recommend it to people.
Yeah.
And Baby Makes Three, I think it's written by the Gottmans. John Gottman is a relationship expert. And he talks about how we can make those adjustments
Yes.
when the family starts to grow.
Yeah, because we hear it a lot.
Yes.
Like we have no time. Honestly, guys, it's hard because we have two children and my sisters, God love them. Whatever chance I get to say, hey, stay with auntie, that's why we would take those times and spend the night away and so forth. But it's hard when you don't really have a system around you as well.
you.
And in that case, what are creative ways that you can think of spending time with each other and just for each other, despite of having children around or family around. Okay, so the last one we have is that when things get hard, we either just leave the situation to resolve itself, so we don't do anything about it, or we start to fight each other instead of the problem.
And that's where, in that interesting thing with that, that's why it's almost perfectly aligned with this lukewarm thing, because in a lukewarm relationship, you don't think you contribute to the problem. You think you have it all under control. You think you're perfect. So, and you may even use the words, I know I'm not perfect. And there's one reason to say, I know I'm not perfect,
Yeah.
but then to behave like you are.
Yeah.
And like you're not contributing anything to this relationship. And sometimes how this manifests, where one spouse may say, I think we need to go get therapy or to do something about the relationship. And the other one will be like, to do what? You need to go and do therapy because maybe something is wrong with you. You're the one with the problem. Maybe something is wrong with you.
Right.
But if a person makes a comment like that, it means that something is off in the relationship. And we can't keep sweeping it under the rug because it festers and it boils over. And then we're in this place where we're hurting each other.
Yeah.
And we're not acknowledging it. And we still, in our minds, we think, it's okay. I can do this. I can keep doing this. and we point the finger. It's your fault. It's you doing this. If you ever stop doing this in a relationship, it will be. But we need to acknowledge in these things,
Yeah.
and then it takes away from the intensity
Yes.
of the relationship itself.
So, the long and short of it, do something about it.
Yes.
Okay. Don't sit on it. God doesn't want us to live unhappy and to be living in an unfulfilling relationship. That's not what relationships were designed for. And we need to live out the fullness of God's love in our marriage.
So God wants so much for a relationship, but unless we acknowledge, one of the first thing about transformation, one of the first thing about it's like, if you think of it, like God says, in Revelation, I stand at the heart door and knock. We first need to acknowledge that there is something going on, and that we need God to come in our relationship to change it. We need a revival in the relationship.
Yes.
Only God can make a marriage become heated or what it's supposed to be. God, the power of God. But we first need to acknowledge that something is wrong. If we keep thinking it's all good, I don't need to deposit into our account or his account, we don't need to deal with this thing, you are the problem, we become constantly distracted by other things. And if these things are going on in the relationship, we first need to acknowledge that something needs to change. And once we acknowledge that something needs to change, then we can move in the right direction.
Yes.
And you may sit back there and says, "Oh, I am good. My relationship is good." And the other spouse is dying. Sometimes it is the little pieces that you may think that's not wrong. That's killing the relationship, killing the marriage, and we're pulling apart. God desire for us to live in happy, holy, marriages. And healthy marriages.
So don't starve yourself, okay? Don't do it. And talking about that, we do have some programs coming up. So we do have a free family and relationship revival series coming up in August. So listen out for that. And we also have a 90 days family, which is your marriage and your family life Ignite coaching program coming up. So listen for that, guys. Listen for that, because everything we talk about today, these are the things that we are going to address.
Yes.
Right? Because we need to not be living this way anymore. Right? We can't be. God doesn't want us to live that way. He doesn't want us to be relationally lethargic.
No.
He wants us to be on fire for him and also for each other. Amen?
Amen.
Okay, so we're going to just share with you, probably a summary of what we've been talking about already, but 3 things that you can start doing today to start to bring back that fire, the heat in your relationship. Okay, and these are, hopefully they'll be simple things.
Oftentimes the simple things are the hardest one to do.
That's
because we take them for granted.
Yes.
Normally, when I work with couples, I will oftentimes say, let's get back to the basics. Because when we start to do the basic things, then we can say, okay, now the basic things give us an assessment point. If we're doing these things, then where are we missing the mark? And oftentimes, more times than not, once couples start to do the basic things, they're like, man, this is changing. This is good.
Yes.
And they start to reconnect. They start to rebuild their relationship. And so we start to get. So as you mentioned them there, I've learned over the years that most times in our lives, we feel pain in our relationship because we neglect the basic things. And that's how you mentioned these steps. These steps are, they're basic, but they are profound.
Yes, they're profound. And in this case too, like we're talking, there was a point in our life, in our relationship, when we allowed these basic things to not be there. And thank the Lord, he gave us insight and the privilege to be able to renew these things in our relationship. So even though as professionals, we're sharing this with you, of course, we are a married couple, right? And, what we're sharing with you are practical things that we also do as well that helps us to thrive in our relationship. It's not a bed of roses, it's not a street of gold, but the intentionality. These
That's
are
the
the
word.
things that we need to be intentional. So what are the three things that we can start doing today? First of all, it's not on the list, but first of all, have a conversation with your spouse. Okay? To say, hey, this is where I feel like we have been for some time. And what are the things that we can do to up the temperature of a relationship? What are we going to lose in trying to up the
Tempo.
temperature of our relationship? So talk to your spouse about that. All right. So the first one is you be the one to commit to giving your spouse 100% each day. When we just when we're courting, one of the things that we said to each other is that even if we're going through a tough time in a relationship and the other person feels as if they want to opt out, I am going to be the one to keep fighting. And
Yes.
I said that, and he said that. So that kind of sets up set the both of us up for actually not thinking of the option of opting out, because we both made the decision to fight for, right?
And the thing that if you value anything you value,
Yes,
you'll fight for
you'll
it.
fight for it.
And when you think of it like that, one of the thing in this point is that selfishness goes aside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if the other person feels that they want to opt out, there must be a reason.
Yeah.
If there is true love and there's real connection, there must be a reason the person wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to figure out, what do I need to contribute to this? What can I do to get this back? So we're going to first, it starts with an examination of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's going on? Am I giving my 100%
Mm-hmm.
to this? And if I'm not giving my 100%, then I need to start to ask myself.
Start doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we had that conversation, because there are times, guys, there's so many ways that God has raised me up, or I have grown
Mm-hmm.
in my relationship. And I think now I'm looking back, I think I got married fairly young.
Yes.
22, guys, I was 22 years old. Yes. Anyways, so I remember at some points in our time together that I just didn't want to approach my husband, because it felt so uncomfortable for me personally, right? And that was just my inner healing that I needed to do. But the commitment was, I am not going to be the one to opt out or to slack off. Even if it's hard, I am going to go in and try to deal with the situation. And so with that perspective, we've always gone in to deal with the hard stuff. And those are some things that helps to really provide and I guess reinforce the foundation of your marriage. What is this? So the first one is you be the one to commit to giving your spouse 100% each day.
Each day.
And
each moment.
And I mean, because sometimes we like to keep score.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural. I think it's natural. Like, we want to do that. I did this, I keep doing this, and you're not doing this, and so eventually it becomes who is doing what and who is not doing what. But if we look at it from a Christ perspective, Jesus know that we ain't gonna give him nothing. I mean, there's nothing that we can do, any points we can gain with him. All we need to give him is our heart, yes. But he knows that we can earn points to have access to him. And we're gonna make mistakes all the time. We're gonna mess up all the time, but yet still he gave us 100%. 100%. So model that as well. The second one is we need to be intentional in making each experience we have with each other count.
And that's important. Just be present, be intentional. Yeah. And part of that, I think, gets into your number 3, which, as you're intentionally, allows to create certain experience that will nurture and strengthen the relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have to use, as you said, intentional, right? We have to be mindful about creating those moments and creating those times in which we can we can build and nurture and
Yeah.
empower the relationship.
Yes, yes. So that was the number three.
Three, yes.
And the last one, which is the bonus, because I said I'm going to share three power moves that you can make, is recognize that what you offer today is only good for today. Okay? So even though you're making deposits in your spouse's emotional bank, it's not a deposit that you should intend to be there and to hold out and to last for a month
Yes.
or the year or 5 years. It needs to be a daily deposit.
Awesome.
The unfortunate thing is that when we hold out so long and our spouse's emotional banks are empty, we have to muster everything within us to deposit a bigger amount, right? But when you're making daily deposits, whatever is in that emotional bank, it lasts longer, and you find that you don't have to be like scratching your head, okay, what do I do now in a panic situation? I need to do something now to get this back, right? So start to daily make those deposits. Whatever you do today, don't allow that or don't depend on that to last for the week or the month.
Yeah.
Let it be daily.
So when you think of it then, so there are 4 things that was mentioned here. Get your pen and a paper, write these down.
Yeah.
1, are you giving your 100%?
Yes.
And check, are you giving that 100%? Be intentional, be mindful, be present, be focused on what's going on in front of you. Intentionality will lead you to sort of create moments, create experiences where you can nurture and foster that healthy, holy, and happy relationship. And once we start to have that kind of relationship, now we move into building strength in the relationship, moving it from this lukewarm state to being hot and bubbly, and getting back the joy and the happiness in the relationship. So again, write these down, basic things, start to put them into practice today.
All right. Well, guys, we hope that you enjoyed that. And that is what we have to share today. Please share this video with another person, because you never know how this can be helpful to them. So until next time, we are Drs. Sanya and Courtney Dookie, wishing you a wonderful and blessed week. Be happy together and be happy in God. See ya.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.